that was a great experience for sure. And to answer the question, definitely my favorite game from that event.
Great, and I mean, it was really impressive because you only had one loss across those two events and 30 plus games, and it seems like you're back on top. I mean, you're the player to beat. And David Howell was our guest Odin in December, just before Rapid and Blitz World Championships, and he said that there probably must be someone from the younger generation to kind of be able to beat Magnus at some point, because it seems like the players around your age, you play them dozens of times, and it seems like you also have like a psychological advantage because they've lost many times against you, and it's difficult kind of to maybe reset for those type of players. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's true. That's also why it's important to play the kids at an early age so that you can get a psychological advantage against them as well. I don't know if any of the kids are going to be better than I am. I sort of doubt it that any of them are going to have a peak that's better than my peak. But of course, at some point, I will start to decline more than I already have. For me, it's like it's hard to say what level I am at the moment. Like, I really sucked at the start at the freestyle chess tournament in Germany, and then like towards the end of it, I was very good.
Yeah.
So it turned out that I didn't actually suck. I just needed like a little bit of confidence and a little bit of time to get into it and understand the game, that specific game better. I mean, for the moment, I don't think any of them are close to being at my level, but that doesn't mean that it's always easy.
And 1 year ago, when you were a guest here on Shaksnak, you said that Alireza Firouzja is probably still the biggest talent in his generation. Do you still stick by that, or has a player like Abdusatorov shown in the last year that he's a player to look out for?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no doubt that Alireza is a bigger talent. Whether he's a more likely pick to have a better chess career than Abdusatorov, I'm not sure. But I'm not like 100% convinced by Abdusatorov still. I'm talking like in terms of being a clear, like, number one. Whether he's going to be like a perennial top player, well, obviously, but it's still like hard to say.
And speaking of players in your generation, let's say Wesley So, Nakamura, Giri, Aronian, for that sake, what is your mindset playing these players that you played so many times over the years?
I don't know. I mean, I just play. I mean, I know their games, like I know their preferences so well, so that there may be opening surprises, but there aren't that many surprises otherwise.
And do you get a feeling how they kind of look at you when they are facing you, and does their strategy differ? Do they have a different approach when playing you?
That's hard to say. I think somebody like Nakamura definitely plays with a bit more respect when he plays against me than others, because like he knows that there are certain things that I will punish that others don't. Mm-hmm. As for Aronian, he has like different gears, but when he's sort of on, he still shows me and others as little respect as he did in his prime, which is good to see.
And how long do you think you will be able to dominate? I used the word dominate in these events, the World Rapid and Blitz.
It's very hard to say. I mean, I've won 4 events in a row now, which is
amazing.
Yeah, no, but it's also something you cannot expect. But I would say at least for the next 5 years, I'll be a contender at worst. Let's say I'm in 2 years from now, I mean, it's very hard to imagine that I will not be the biggest favorite, even then.
And I assume these titles mean a lot to you, especially stepping away from the World Classical title.
Yeah, I'm really excited these days about playing freestyle chess. I feel that's sort of invigorated my will to play with longer time controls. And I mean, that's not a shock since it's something that I've wanted for a while now. But apart from that, it's really to some extent, the Speed Chess Championship, but especially the World Rapid and Blitz, that I really, really want to win.
Great.
Yeah, no. Speaking of this freestyle chess, there's a coming tour, and you're obviously involved. To what extent are you involved in all of this?
No, I'm hugely involved in the sense that this is what I wanted for a long time. I talked to Jan-Henrik Bittner quite often about it as well. My dad does as well. Yeah, I mean, I do think that the other players are quite enthusiastic about this. That this is, I mean, some of it more than others. Like Aronian, for instance, that's also the reason why he was invited to the tournament in Germany. Is that he is extremely enthusiastic about this and has been for a while. But it feels like a lot of the top players they like this format. But yeah, and for now, I'm definitely trying to to push it as much as I can.
And you mentioned it yourself in the first inaugural event in Germany. You needed some time to get in the zone, but can you try and describe how it is to do that while you're playing freestyle chess compared to normal chess tournaments?
Yeah, so the difference is you sort of feel like you're in the middle game from move one, especially if you're in a situation where the king is like relatively safe on its starting square. Then you sort of feel that you can start like planning strategically from the first move, which is quite exciting. And it's like, yeah, it's so different. You sort of have to unlearn patterns that you know from normal chess on the fly. And I don't know, it's like it's also like easy to get too excited. Like I've like wanted to sacrifice pawns all the time. All these gambits like e4, e5, d4, or d4, d5, e4, those sorts of things. It's often like hard to tell like whether they will work or not. Like against Satoru, for instance, I started the game with one g4, which was like it looked a bit weird in that situation. But I had a knight in the corner which could come out behind the pawn. It's like it made quite a bit of sense. It was not a bad move. But then later on, like without preparing it, like after he'd gone e5, like I played d4 a bit later with the idea to go like ed4, f4. But that was a bit too much. And I kind of knew that, but I couldn't really help myself because I just wanted to play energetically and sacrifice something.
That's great. And do you feel that you and other top players might have a different mindset playing freestyle chess compared to classical? That you're more aggressive, you're more in the mood to sacrifice pieces, etc.
Yeah, I think your preferences as a chess player, they shine through much more than they do in normal chess there, and that's really fun to see. And it's also going to be interesting to see how much better people will eventually play.
Do you think we'll get some sort of theory at some point?
I think we will, or at least we will recognize
positions?
more and more patterns. Yeah. That's what I already see, that people recognize patterns a bit better. But theory, that's hard to say. Also, the positions are so different. Like, the good thing about normal chess, like, the normal chess starting position is awesome. That's the reason why it was chosen, is that the pieces are generally quite well placed. And it also means that in response to e4, like e5, symmetry is almost always good. Like in almost every freestyle position as well, symmetry is playable. But then also c5 is perfectly fine. Even moves like c6 and e6 are completely okay. While in freestyle chess, like in certain positions, like you might have to play symmetry. And so I'm thinking like those positions can probably be analyzed quite well. Those positions that where you sort of have to play symmetry. And those positions will obviously be less exciting as well. While you can see in others, like you can see that there are maybe 5 playable first moves for white, and then usually black has a few decent responses there as well. Even I've seen some times where just looking at the position, I've had a pretty strong opinion of whether e4 or d4 is more logical, and then like the engine says, they're both pretty good.
And it seemed like this first event in Germany was a great success. And as you said, Odin, there will be a tour across 5 continents starting later in 2024.
Yeah, starting with India in November. Yeah.
And you will participate in all the events on the tour, or?
I plan to play as much as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And some exciting places as well.
Yeah,
So,
very.
yeah.
India, New York, Colombia, Australia.
Yeah, I can't wait to play, and I think it's going to be an awesome new opportunity for players and fans.
We talked about this before.